Perfect. It's exactly the audience I was looking for.
Aren't you live?
Hey, everybody.
Good afternoon.
Hey, Greg.
I guess depending upon where you are, it could be good morning.
Good morning, noon, afternoon.
Daniel, are you watching in California? You better be. There's going to be a quiz. So
you posted on the campus chapter leaders page for the West.
I did. I think I posted on most of the
regional
Facebook pages. So
are you on it? You should be.
Yeah. Well, hey, welcome to, again, the first of hopefully many Google Hangouts where we get to hang out and just talk about what's going on with IJM, with campus chapters, and then, answer questions and share some stories about what's going on. And so we're glad to be here with you. And so if you're watching this later, we're glad you're watching it later, even though we wish you could have been here live and you could have asked questions or shared jokes, riddles, or puns, or whatever. But
he'll be on the next view.
Exactly. So, the goal is to keep this around 20 minutes or so. And so that
who wants to watch an hour-long video?
Exactly.
Of us talking.
Exactly. So we'll make it longer next time as long as you show up and you talk.
Mm-hmm.
I'll do a quick recap. So for those that missed it, a few weeks ago, we had our second edition of the North Star Conference, which we gathered in Nashville, Tennessee. I think there were 70 different schools that were represented over the course of the weekend. It was just an incredible time to gather and to hear from different IJM speakers and for students to meet and to connect. We had a number of workshops with trainings on various topics of how to lead and everything from spiritual disciplines and the work of justice. There was a workshop on how do you stay involved with the work of justice after you graduate, which was really cool to hear from people that are out of college and still involved with justice and the justice movement, but they're not a lawyer or they don't work for a nonprofit. And so that was pretty neat to see that. And I think I guess one of the biggest takeaways for me and a number of students as we talked was just the excitement that there are more than just my little campus cares about ending slavery and cares about justice, right? And so for those that couldn't be there, and even for those that were, the reminder of you're not alone, right? You're not the only one that cares. It was really great I was able to, on a couple sessions, sneak up in the balcony and not having to be up front or anything, and just watch and just see, hundreds of students all, gathered together, which was just really awesome. Again, that reminder that you're not alone. You're not the only one that cares. You might feel like you're the only one, right? You have 3 people or 10 people come into your event or your meeting, and that seems like nothing when you have thousands and tens of thousands of people on your campus. But there were so many schools represented of these little groups of 2, 3, 10 people that were gathered. And so be encouraged. There are a ton of fellow students out there that are working just like you are, that want to see slavery ended, that care about ending injustice. And so, I was just super encouraged by the number of students that were there for that.
Absolutely. And I think the important thing to remember, too, is whether you were at North Star or not, you can be connected and engaged to other campuses, other churches, other chapters in your state, chapters in your region. All of you fall into, if you're a student in the United States, you have a national student leader. So we want to make sure you're connected to that person. If you're not, all you have to do is email us at chapters@ijm.org. We'll make sure you're connected. But those leaders are reaching out to y'all, want to connect with you, want to share ideas, want to tell you what other schools are doing. And we want to share those stories as well. So make sure that you're connected on the Campus Chapter Leaders Facebook page as well, because we're going to start sending stories to you all about what other schools are doing, stories of success to give you ideas. Feel free to hijack those. You don't need to reinvent the wheel all the time. So again, stay connected with other schools and share those ideas.
Yeah, and the national leadership team, for if there's some of you that haven't had any interaction there or connection, right? So it's a group of 8 students that work with our team for a full year. They're still students, they're in school, and they all have led on their campus. So they've all been a part of leading the campus chapter, Stand for Freedom, these big events or these gatherings on their campus. So they're a great resource because they know exactly what you're going through, right? And so they're there just to help, to answer questions, to coach, give ideas, again, connect different schools together. But they're just a great resource. And so they're there to serve you and to help, you and your chapter and your team execute your plans and ideas and things like that. So yeah, they're there. Reach out to them. That's their job. That's, being on that team is they are a connection to you. So again, if you haven't had any interaction with them, Facebook leader page, reach out. But then you could also email us again, chapters@ijm.org, and we'll make sure you get a direct, introduction to your representative. So.
Absolutely. And we also just want to say thank you to y'all, to you as leaders. Thank you for leading the justice movement on your campus. We could not do this work without you. And so thank you. We know this is a crazy busy time of year. Halloween's tomorrow, Thanksgiving's coming up soon, which means finals are coming up right after. And so we know this is a super stressful time. And so we are here for you, to support you, to give you what you need to lead. Hopefully make that easier. Leading is not an easy thing, but it's an absolutely worthy thing, an important thing. And so we're just so grateful for what you're doing.
Absolutely. So Jacqueline, what's coming up that they should be aware of?
Thank you for asking, Greg. Well, there's a couple things we want you all to be aware of, and you'll begin to hear about this through IJM social media, emails, and otherwise, but I did want to highlight this for y'all. This is the Fancy Pants Holiday Gift Catalog, which is just an incredible way to support IJM, the work of IJM throughout the holidays. So we had a cool time a couple weeks ago when this was hot off the press. Our team who's worked so hard on this shared this. We got to have some cupcakes, play a little Christmas music ahead of time. Don't know y'all's feelings on that. I personally like to listen to Christmas music before Thanksgiving, but
for Halloween.
For Thanksgiving anyway. I'm a November Christmas Carol listener. Anyway, this was not planned.
The most wonderful time of the year. But hey, this catalog is awesome because literally it's different gifts that you can give, and we call it like gifts of freedom, right? So it's the idea of there's all the different work that IJM does on the ground in the field, ways to support that. So if you have a heart, or your family has a heart for a specific part of the work that we do, right? A rescue, or maybe it's restoration, or providing for undercover investigations, that kind of stuff, right? It's just a really, it's jam-packed full with all kinds of different gifts that you can select. You can fund part of it, so like hey, you can from $30 and then up to $300. A cool way for your chapter maybe to raise money. Your families, again. Our family, my kids love to go through and pick out a couple things. We trade names with our families too. And so we all, instead of giving tons of presents, hey, let's give some presents to some other people. And this just is a really cool way. It's a good visual too. It's a great way to introduce people to IJM and the work of justice. Because again, there's cool stories in here, and just to me, it really paints a cool picture that hey, this is where my money is going and what it's being used for. So it's available online, and then it's also, I think you can request to have one mailed if you guys want to do a fundraiser around it. But awesome resource, so definitely check it out.
Totally, because the number of leaders who say like, hey, we'd love to support IJM, but we'd love to support something specific. This is the opportunity to just have a better idea of what is the impact of your gift, and hey, here's what we're raising money for. And so whether you do it as a chapter or you do it within your family, because seriously, how many of us need more things? Most of us don't. And so to be able to give something that is meaningful and matters, without having to get lost in the masses of the crazy Christmas mall shopping, like this is a truly incredible thing. So we hope you'll take advantage of it. Again, whether you do it as a family or as a chapter, we would encourage you to check that out. And the other thing is also, many of you participated last year. Hope you're already thinking about it, but Dressember is going to be happening again this December. So whether you're male or female, there are ways to participate. Obviously, it's more obvious if you are a woman, but Greg was challenged at North Star 14. I don't know why you didn't mention this in the highlights from the conference. Greg was challenged by Nancy Ortberg to wear a different dress every day of the month. Not just wear a dress every day of the month, but it was a different dress.
Yeah,
right?
I don't know if she understands. I don't know if she understands the total concept of the campaign.
All I have to say, Greg will be participating as well. So anyway, it's just a really cool way to support, obviously, anti-trafficking work, the work of IJM, you know, to be, again, part of something.
Do you know the website address for that?
Yeah, it's Dressember.net, I believe, but
we can send it out if not, but yeah.
Yeah, and you'll definitely be hearing about that. If you aren't hearing about that, let us know, but you should hear on social media again and every possible communication channel. So that's coming up. And then the other thing, if you are not at North Star, is to mark your calendar. Yep. I don't know if you can see it or not, but April 6th through the 10th, 2015, we are standing for freedom again.
Yes.
Yes. We will be standing again. And so, again, based on feedback we've gotten from y'all, just having those dates earlier, we hope that'll make a huge difference for y'all. So get that down. Go ahead and, you know, book that space on campus. You get to pick what 24-hour period you want to stand during that week. And so, yeah, start thinking about that now. And we'll be in touch with a whole lot more coming up soon.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. Let's go.
Great. So the other thing we want you to be aware of is the new and improved college webpage. So when you go to IJM.org and you go to get involved, the drop down will say for college students. So we encourage you all to check that out, because we get tons of questions again from leaders, and I would say 85% of them could be answered from resources that are available to you on the website, and also yeah, just what's already there on the webpage. And we know it's not been the easiest to find, but we just want to direct you there because there are some great things for you to check out. So there's a map of where all official campus chapters are around the country. Most of them will have a personalized link to a Facebook page or otherwise, and so that's a great way to connect with other chapters around you. If you're not already personally connected, that's an awesome way to do that. It's also got a sign-up page if you want to get email updates from our team. It's got some fancy photos of our team, lovely, but more importantly, all the photos of the National Student Leadership Team, which is something we want you all to be aware of.
No, I mean, I think, again, the key is if you have questions, I mean, check that out, right? Do a 5 minutes worth of perusing on that site, and, you know, I think a lot of your questions could be answered. There's a number of, you know, resources, and we'll be adding more resources, a number of resources being created by students that, you know, whether they've done an event or, you know, how they host meetings, a number of things like that. We're going to continue to put more resources on there as the school year, you know, goes on. And so, you know, come back, visit, but definitely sign up for the email updates too, because we send out, you know, specific content to leaders every month. And so it'd be great, you know, for you to be on that. And we're doing, you know, the Google Hangouts and all, but there's a great, you know, resource you can always refer back to. And so check it out. Yeah, it'd be great. And if you don't, I mean, and if you don't get your question answered, then again, reaching out to the National Leadership Team, your regional National Leadership Team student, or, you know, again, email us, chapters@ijm.org. And if that you don't get your question answered, then, you know, we can answer it at that point. So.
Yeah, but definitely check those resources out. Again, the Campus Chapter Toolkit was recently refreshed, much more user-friendly now with new content, new ideas. Again, all to help and support your efforts of what you're doing. So would encourage you, even if you're a seasoned leader, to consider just filling out that quick web form to get the Campus Chapter Toolkit again. It's new and improved, and like Greg said, we're putting out new resources regularly. So even in the next few days, I could name off 6 or 7 resources that are going to be going up that talk about transitioning your leadership team. Like Greg mentioned, you know, what are the top 10 steps to start strong? So it's kind of like just a quick view. It's a condensed version, essentially, of the campus chapter toolkit, but just some awesome resources, how to request money from your university so you can attend things like the Global Prayer Gathering or North Star so that you can get your leadership team there. So anyway, check those out because they're going to be a huge help for you.
I think I was going to mention one more thing, and then we're going to try to answer in our last few minutes here some of the questions that have been emailed in. And if we don't get to all the questions, we'll get to them next time. Would be on the Facebook student leader page. If you're not a member, it's a private page because, again, it's more of a family conversation. If you're not a part of that, email so we can let you in. But we're going to start sharing, really excited, a ton of student stories of what different schools and chapters are doing. So we're just learning of just, again, incredible, awesome events that chapters are doing, some really cool success stories. So we'll share like how they're doing it, what they're doing, look at pictures and things like that. So every week we're going to be highlighting different chapters and what they're doing. So if you're doing really cool stuff, email us and let us know, or post it on that page, and we'd love to, again, highlight it and use you as an example of what other chapters can do, again, to awaken up their campus and their community to this fight. And so definitely connect with us there on Facebook. If you're not already connected, email us. But let's get to a few of these questions, because I know there's a number of questions that the students have emailed in.
Yeah. One of the things Greg and I want to address too is some of the questions we just get most frequently from leaders like you. So I'd love to even start with the one of like, hey, what if it's just like me and 2 other people?
Yeah, that happens a lot. I put it in the I'm the only one that care, bucket, right? I feel like I'm the only one that cares. Well, what's super important to realize is, one, is you're not the only one that cares, right? I mean, there's 2 of us here that care, and there's 8 national leadership team members that care, and there's hundreds of chapter leaders across the country that care. And that's just in our little bucket, right? We're sitting in the office here at IJM, and there's hundreds of full-time staff that have committed their careers, to this fight. And so there are tons of people that care. But on your school, right, in your dorm, in your class, on your campus, right? The key is, one is just to show up. It's like, that's how history's changed. It's when one person decides to show up and continue to show up. And so, so showing up, if you can find 1 friend, 2 friends, to form a bond and commit to that, right? Which is, again, history has changed by individuals and then groups that continue to show up. And then with that is set. I think it's setting just realistic and I guess just realistic expectations too, of like our expectation, of what you guys are doing chapters is not that, every week you have thousands of people coming to, a meeting, or, tens of thousands of people showing up, to a big event you're doing every semester. Our hope is that, again, you will show up, that you will be consistent. And then if you do that and you work hard, we really believe that God's going to honor that, right? Thinking about North Star, we interviewed Gary Haugen, right? So founder of IJM, and that was one of the questions I asked him. Was like, Gary, how would you answer that question? And it was just fascinating that he said something on the lines of, in the beginning, if I could get 5 people to come to a meeting that I was talking about IJM, he was like, that was a home run.
Right.
And this is the founder of the organization, right?
He's like, I couldn't buy an invitation to speak, at a church from the pulpit. He's like, the only church I was getting invited to speak at was my family's Sunday school class. Yeah. So you got to start somewhere. Yeah. And so again, it's just consistently showing up, and again, but the reality is you're not alone. And that's why we're here. That's why these resources are here. That's why the national leadership team is there. That's why the Facebook group is there. That's why we do things like North Star. That's why we, gather at the Global Prayer Gathering, right? So there's lots of ways that you can connect with other people in this fight, and I encourage you to do that. But we can come back to that one too, because I think that one is going to continue to come up. But at the end of the day, hey, you're not alone. We're here for you. Keep doing what you're doing, and at some point, great results do happen. Yeah, and what I would say too, I'm going to give you a little Cliff Notes version of the workshop I co-led with my amazing colleague Daniel DiCecco from the University of Wyoming, now an alumni. Highlights from that workshop were, okay, so you only have one or two people, great. You can still build a leadership team, empower leaders, build partnerships, and set goals. And those 4 things were the pillar of the workshop that I led. And we can talk more about those things. But I basically shared a story of, and I could share dozens of other stories like this, but how either one individual set out to just faithfully pray every single day about who the Lord would bring as far as leaders are concerned, like Daniel at UCSD, or I'm thinking of Christopher Newport as well. Cassie at CNU was able to connect with Abby because they both went to Passion together. And from there, it was only the 2 of them. And so what did they do? They started with prayer and asked that, you know, the Lord would lead them to other people, and then they took action. So they tabled outside of the cafeteria, which was like one of the most high traffic areas on their campus, whatever that is for you. They tabled, they talked to people, they made announcements at campus ministries and other organizations they were already connected with. They just asked, they asked people to get involved. They invited people in, they shared why they're passionate, and again, gave people the opportunity to get engaged. So I think another thing that students have done is, you know, get the school paper or whatever the thing that everyone reads on your campus to do a little feature of the fact that IJM is on your campus. It's a good news story. And obviously we live in a world where, you know, a lot of the news is dominated by bad news. And so, and I think that's even true, you know, with college campuses too. So your school wants to highlight the good things that are happening through students that go to their school. And so pursue those avenues of getting the word out about the positive, wonderful things you're doing to engage other students, to engage the community, and to make a difference and change things both in your community and around the world. So that's a story that people want to tell. So look for those outlets as well. Again, I can't emphasize enough just you know, leveraging your own networks. You're already connected, and I don't mean just force all your friends to come. That is actually something we would probably advise against. I mean, unless, you know, if they're passionate about it, great.
Guilt doesn't last.
Yeah, guilt is not a long-term motivator. So yeah, but you know, just putting your name out there, whether it's on social media, whether it's, again, these opportunities to do that in person. Leaders have told me that they've had professors who allowed them to make an announcement in class, particularly if it's a class that's relatable: criminal justice, political science, you know, social work, investigations, those kind of things.
Yeah.
Pre-law, all of these things are relevant. International relations. So lots of opportunities there. So that's what I would say about building a leadership team. That's also what I would say when we get the question of, hey, how do I recruit other leaders and how do I get more people to show up, whether it's to events or to our meetings. And so those are all ways you can do that, is, you know, making your name known to the student body. What I would say about meetings, and this is something that, you know, maybe we'll talk about a lot, but if regular meetings beyond your leadership team are not working and you feel discouraged because not many people are showing up, then maybe don't have them. This is not something that's required. In our minds, an IJM chapter, y'all are the rallying point for justice on your campus, okay? So that means you are uniting people around the cause of justice. And that means campus ministries, that means athletic programs, that means the Greek system, that means existing organizations, anyone you can find, local churches who are passionate about justice and will join with you in this fight. We want you to be the rallying point. And what that takes is a strong leadership team. And so maybe these people who are members or other people who are just showing some casual interest, maybe they're just going to be the ones that show up for the one event you do each semester. And that's great. And that's great. So make sure that your meeting time is valuable. But again, from our perspective, it's important to have regular meetings with your leadership team so that y'all actually know each other and you're getting time not only to plan and work hard together, but also to have fun and celebrate success and celebrate what God is doing through your faithfulness. So that's my advice. Anything?
Yeah, I mean, because I think we would probably try to wrap up here with this, and we'll pick up, I think, with some questions next time. I was reminded, I was sharing earlier in a meeting, of a mentor of mine that I consider just an incredible leader. Has led in the business world, has started churches, and I mean, some of those churches have grown to be thousands and thousands of people. He's in the process of starting over. And so a few years ago, he switched to start a brand new campus of a church, which basically from ground zero. So it was him and a few people. And so they're off in this new part of the city, and they're brand new, brand new campus. No one's really involved. And so he was sharing, that was 3 years ago, and he was sharing just the journey of the past 3 years of how, getting started and getting to a point where they're doing ministry, they're doing the work they set out to do. It just reminded me of this scenario with students. Hey, there's just a small group of us, no one cares. How do we get more people involved? That type of deal. And Jeff's just the takeaway from his summary was great. He says, there's definitely a time to, blast that out on social media, like, hey, we're doing this, come get involved, or, setting up a table, in the cafeteria and handing out flyers and all these things. He said, I have found in trying to get other people involved, with this new church, is nothing substitutes sitting down for coffee or breakfast or lunch one-on-one and asking someone, looking them in the eye and saying, I would really love for you to help with me. I'd love for you to help with this vision. I think you've got passion, you've got gifts, you've got skills. You bring a lot to the table. Would you get involved? And he says, undoubtedly, that is the biggest differentiator from those, getting people involved. Yeah. So I'd really encourage that. So that's where, again, when you're building a team or you're just getting started, you don't need 1,000 people coming. What would you do with 1,000 people, right? You need 3 people, you need 5 people. And the best way to do that is to sit down, be like John, Mary, whoever, right? This is what I'm doing. Like, I think you would be great at this. Like, here are the skills and gifts that you bring, and the other.
Who doesn't want to hear that?
Yeah, exactly. But the other lesson too is don't say no for them. And I think that's where a lot of students, they talk themselves out of it. Well, I can't ask John because he's already doing this, or, Susie's already involved with this, or, Mary's got this going on. And, we just make excuses for people without even asking them, right? So, and if people are busy, they're busy, right? You understand that, so don't feel bad or deflated if you ask someone and they're like, well, I can't right now because I'm busy. Hey, that's great. At least you asked, and you'll get better at that. But again, don't be afraid to sit down with someone and say, hey, I'd love for you to be involved with this. So if you're having some meetings and you got some of those people that, hey, they're kind of showing up every now and then, sit down with them and say, hey, Tom, you've been to, 3 of our things this semester. You don't really have a role yet. Hey, would you like to be more involved? And a lot of times what people are waiting for is just that. They're waiting for the ask. I want you to ask me. Like, a lot of people are not just going to show up to your meeting and say, hey, I'm ready to lead. They want to be asked. And there's a few of those people that will, which could be good or bad. We can get that at a later point. But for the most part, people want to be asked, and they need to be asked to get involved. And they're waiting on you to do that. So I think that's a big part of your role as the leader, is to be on the lookout. Hey, who can I ask to be involved? So
exactly. And even if you don't know them that well, base it on their major. Are they a communications major? Great. Maybe they want to be your publicity chair. Are they a finance major? Great. Maybe they want to be the treasurer. Are they a business major? Great. Maybe they need to be in an organizational role, right? Managing how everything's working, an event coordinator, something like that. So yeah.
If someone's really funny, let them do jokes. Let them do the intro, to the meeting.
Exactly. Let them keep the meetings lively and keep y'all light, because these are difficult issues. And so it's important to, again, have fun in the process, because this is difficult work. And the last thing we want for you is just to get burned out and feel disenchanted or disheartened, because the work you are doing is absolutely making a difference. If we could bring in our investigators or field office directors in here, they would look you in the eye and tell you that what you're doing absolutely is changing things around the world. So keep up the fight, and we are here for you.
Absolutely. If you have questions you want us to answer next time, you can email them in chapters@ijm.org. Put in the title question for Google Hangout, because we get a ton of emails in that inbox. Don't want it to get missed. So if you have a question you want us to try to answer, do that. But until next time, Have an awesome week. Thanks for leading, and we'll see you then.
Yeah, sounds good. And the next one, I don't know if you can pull it up on your phone. I wish I had the date. The next one's going to be in November. It's going to be in mid-November, and it's going to be awesome. So we'll post it again on the Facebook Campus Chapter Leaders page.
The 18th.
And it's November 18th. That is a Monday or Tuesday?
That is a Tuesday.
Tuesday, November 18th. So we'll see you next time. Y'all are awesome.